What's up, everybody? I am DJ Kazzeo, and welcome to Talkin All That Kazz. Now, what is Talkin All That Kazz? Real quick, breaking it down, before I even get to that, let me tell you this. You want to know anything, you want to connect with me on social media, go to this address right here, www.djkazzeo.com, alright? All my stuff's up there. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff is up there, okay? Now, for 27 years, over 27 years, I've been hosting a weekly radio show here at 90.9 FM KHTC in Salinas, California. Every one of the shows I've ever done that's in my library is now online. You can go to this address right here, mixcloud.com/DJ_Kazzeo to hear all the shows, all the music, all the interviews, everything. Okay? Now, speaking of interviews, maybe you don't have the time to go to Mixcloud and listen to the full shows, because there's thousands of hours of stuff to listen to. If that's the case, this is what Talkin All That Kazz is for. I've isolated all the interviews, taken the interview clips, put them in video form, and I'm posting them up here on YouTube for you guys to check out in a shorter time, alright? So you can just go, pick out whatever interview you want to check out, and here it is, okay? So, without further ado, let's see what I got in store for you this time around.
So yeah, as V-Dog pointed out to me, we were also on
WednesdayRec.com, which he totally just kind of brushed over me there, man. Now, you always get on me for not remembering, but this time it was you, sir.
Well, because I knew a phone call was coming. I was trying to handle business.
Well, it didn't come, but it's there now.
I was trying to expedite business in a correct fashion. So real quick, man, let's go to the phones because we got a very special guest joining us tonight. First time on the show, want to welcome Speech from Arrested Development. How you doing, Speech?
I'm doing good, y'all. How y'all doing?
We're well, man. Yours truly, Kazzeo, right here. My co-host V-Dog with me.
Yeah, what up?
What's up, V?
How you doing, Speech? How you doing today? How you doing in these crazy times, man?
It is crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing pretty good, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm excited about this album. And also, it's been an interesting time, like double-edged sword with this COVID reality. You know, a lot more time with my family, a lot more time doing things that I've always wanted to do at home.
Yeah,
and then at the same time, the other side of it is really close friends of mine and have died because of COVID. And also, we're not touring, and there's a lot of things that's extremely different. So
yeah,
definitely a double-edged sword.
That was one of the things I was going to ask you, and I asked a lot of artists this, is like now in these times when you're putting out a project, I mean, one of the things you always do when you put out a project is go out and promote, do shows, do appearances, and you can't do that now. So what other avenues or other aspects are you using to get the promotion done?
I'm really, for me, I'm doing a lot of online just promotion. I hired a couple publicists, and I'm also just, like me and Kazzeo, who's the executive producer along with me on this album, we've been online like crazy, just literally connecting with fans and people and, talking about this music and, just having conversations online with people. And it's been good. It's a lot of engaged people, and it's starting to really gain a lot of momentum.
No doubt, no doubt. So Marissa hit me with the album a couple weeks ago. I've been listening to it a lot. And there's a lot of solid stuff on there for sure. But I want to go back, and so in my notes I see yourself and Headliner formed the group in 1988. What were the circumstances that you guys came together to form the group?
Well, I formed the group, and I came to Atlanta in '87, and I came to the Art Institute of Atlanta, and I was looking for a DJ to start the group, and I put up a flyer, and this brother named Tim Barnwell was looking at the flyer, and I started talking to him, and we became friends, and later I would name him Headliner because he's a great barber as well, and but he also spins a little bit, so it was a cool vibe where he was the first member to join the group, and that's how we sort of met.
Right. And it's you listen to the first record, Tennessee, And initially you first think you hear it and you go, oh, he's making it's a song about tracing his family roots and going back to like where the family originally came out of. But in the research I was doing, I found out, or I see that the song was actually inspired by the death of two people in your family. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, or how that all came?
Yeah, Tennessee was the last place I saw both my brother and my grandmother. My grandmother, who was my closest grandmother, I used to spend all my summers in a small town in Tennessee called Glimp, Tennessee, and she passed away of a heart attack. And so my whole family went down for her funeral to celebrate her life. And that same week, my brother, my only biological brother, died too. And he died of an asthma attack. And so the last place I saw both of them was in Tennessee. And that was the sort of the birth of that track.
Was he a younger brother or an older brother?
Older brother. He's 29 when he died.
So that's kind of like losing your role model, because older brothers always are kind of like the mentors to the younger brother.
It's very true. I mean, I did a song called "Since You've Been Gone." It's on one of my solo albums called Peachy, where I talk about just my relationship with my brother, and he was the guy that I sort of patterned my life after, or at least I wanted to do opposite of what he did in order to sort of find my space. Because he was such a big dude, just a big figure in my family's life and in our circle that I grew up around.
Yeah.
That's wow.
It kind of even makes it more understandable why that song was such a hit. The soul behind it and the way it resonated with so many people. I mean, that record was huge, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful that, first of all, that they allowed me to release it as a first single. They had signed us for a single deal initially and not even an album deal. And it was for Mr. Wendell on the A side and Natural on the B side. Mm-hmm. And when my brother died and my grandmother died, I wrote Tennessee, and I basically told them, look, I want this as the first single, or I want to walk. And they listened to it. They loved it. They allowed us to shoot a video for it, and it was actually the video that gave us an album deal. Once they saw the video, they wanted to do an album deal with us, and that pretty much sealed the deal for us to, no pun intended, for us to keep going. And I'm very grateful that the public responded to it in the way that it did, and it will forever be probably the most important song I've ever written because of those lives that it's inspired by.
Exactly. Another fact about the record, Tennessee is included in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 Songs That Shaped Rock and Roll list as well. This was the real interesting fact I learned about that record. It features a sample from Alphabet City by Prince. Instead of demanding co-writing credit, Prince just asked for a one-time payment of $100,000, which, over the course of time, was far lower than the monies he'd have received had he been given co-writing credit. So Prince really did you a solid on that one.
He did, and I didn't realize how much of a solid it was at the time, because if you could imagine, getting hit for $100,000 in one whop, because Prince, he's a very calculated dude.
Right.
Rest in peace. My favorite artist, by the way. So he waited for the record to hit number one on numerous charts, and then it hit number 3 on the pop chart. And as soon as it went to 4, I got a call, and from his people, because he was like, "This is as high as it's gonna get. Let me go and get this money." And it was a good look in the long run. I didn't realize it at the time, though. It was a good look because, like you said, he could have, took it off the shelf like they did Bismarck years ago.
Right.
And he could have owned part of the record and all types of things he could have done, and he didn't do it. But at the same time, if you think about it, I literally sampled one word. It was the word Tennessee. That was it. It was no musical stuff, no melody, nothing. Just the word Tennessee, and it's from Alphabet Street.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
makes sense.
But yeah, I get you know your side of it, like you know being a young artist and like at that point you're like $100,000 just for one word.
$100,000, yeah.
What the
exactly.
hell?
Right, exactly right. I was like, it's no melody, you know, but in a sense it is because it's Tennessee.
Right.
But that's
right.
it. I mean, it's just the same word, sort of done in two different pitches, and it goes throughout the whole song. So don't get me wrong, it's a very big part of that record.
Right,
on purpose,
right.
You know, but it's not any melody or any like groove that he put down or anything like that. It's just a word, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm sure as you went on in your career and you started learning different aspects, you realized just how much you know
it was solid, like
right.
You said.
And he was in the right on that because it's the main identifier of that song.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the right, and the truth is, and I hate this law, but the truth is that if you sample stuff, you know, you're gonna have to pay somebody something just for using the master of that music, regardless of how much you use the melody and all that stuff. I mean, Public Enemy talked about it on "It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back" record, where it's like they're like you can't copyright a beat, and in truth, I wish that was true, but you can't, you know, and people do, and it's because of the masters that the beat is on. It's on a master, and people own the master. I mean, they got this music industry rigged in so many ways where you can't get around it. You know what I mean?
It's ironclad, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people did remixes to Tennessee, including Alex Mejia from KMEL, as well as Showbiz from Showbiz and AG. I'm going to play a little bit of the Showbiz remix, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and we'll talk some more. So hopefully you got a second to hold on the line, and you know, we'll come back and, like I said, we'll talk some more, and you know, we're definitely going to talk about the new project because you know there's some good stuff on that. Oh God, I keep forgetting the name. I know it's something about demons.
Don't fight your demons.
Don't fight your
Don't
demons.
fight your
Right.
demons.
Don't fight your demons. Available now on all streaming platforms. So, Speech, please hold on the line, and we'll be back in just a second. That's right. Back in the place right here. We are 90.9 FM KHCC Radio Bilingue. And doing it back in the place, we are joined still by our very special guest, Speech from Arrested Development. What's going on, brother?
Well, I'm doing good.
Man, so, you know, that right there, the Showbiz remix of Tennessee, were there other artists who, you know, did remix, or not other producers who did remixes that never came out, that anybody of note?
Yeah, I mean, DJ Nabs from Atlanta, incredible DJ, did live, like, I think it was called Live from Nipsey Lake or something like that. And basically, he had the two Tennessees on each turntable and just was literally cutting live. Incredible.
Oh, nice.
And my man Alex did to me, was my favorite remix of that time period. So I love that remix. And it's funny because I wasn't a fan of remixes at that time. When I was that young, I was feeling like, nah, this is the way I wanted the record to be, and I don't want nobody to mess with it. And then Showbiz called me and he was like, yo, they asked me to do this remix. Are you cool? And I was like, you know what? I love y'all, so Showbiz and AG. So I was like, let's roll with it. And I'm actually really glad he did it. It was hot, and you know, uses Busy Bee beat, and it was just really clever. And it actually broke the record in certain southern states for us, so I'm very grateful for that.
That's tight. And it's V-Dog here, and I just want to say something, like a comment about the record in a good way. The thing that, I mean, when that song came out, I was in third grade. I had just started third grade, so I heard it all the time, and I was like, man, this is it was as a kid, you're hearing it and you don't really understand, but I just remember it being very random to me, you know, as a kid, because you're just like, a game of horseshoes, and like we all know
Right,
that.
exactly.
Yeah. But I am still thirsty. Like, you know, we remembered that. But as I grew up and listened to it again and came back to it, I'm like, this is an excellent record because it's for me, it's like there's really like it kind of sounds like a really sad song if you really listen to the lyrics, but it's got this great dance beat to it that you could just get down to. So it was just like it was like almost like almost like a paradox. I'm trying to find the right word.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and it was just crazy to me when I go back and listen to that record. And then I'm like, then you hear People Every Day, Mr. Wendell. It's like, man, these guys were really on a roll. And sadly, I mean, back then I had never got to hear the album, and then all of a sudden, as far as radio went, I never heard from Arrested Development again. I know you guys did stuff, and I'd heard albums, and I'm like, Speech is really talented. What's going on? Like what why is, so, but you always kept it going. So I got to give props to that for sure. And you never made bad music. I just never heard, like radio give you guys any play anymore, which could be good or bad depending. But yeah.
I mean, I agree. I think that it was an interesting paradox, to use that word, because it's like, I love the fact that people were able to vibe to the music, and that radio was playing the music enough to where people were exposed to this, to me, revolutionary hip hop. I mean, the stuff we were talking about wasn't your average fare of hip hop, and I felt like even our image and everything else about the group was just very needed and important to hip hop music. So I felt really good about the fact that people were being exposed to it, and at the same time, I felt like it was commercializing us too much, to where some would get the wrong idea that we were sort of like this pop group, when in truth we weren't. Like, when you listen to the lyrics of what we were talking about from day one to now, it was always real and authentic and heartfelt, as opposed to just like something that's I don't know, sort of like a gimmick, you know what I mean, to make a hit song type of thing.
Well, the definite success of that first album, you guys won 2 Grammys in 1993, Best New Artist and Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group. Rolling Stone named you guys Band of the Year. First album sold 6 million copies worldwide. And then you had the second single, People Every Day, which featured a young lady by the name of Dion Ferris. How did that connection happen?
Well, she was on Tennessee, actually. Dion was on the first single.
She was.
And then People Every Day, she wasn't on that. But
then there you go. Wikipedia lied again, because I always thought she was on Tennessee, but they said it was People Every Day, so my bad.
Nah, she's not on there. It's all good. So, like, People Every Day was one of those tracks where the label really wanted to release that as a single, but it wasn't the way that it wasn't the version that became popular, put it that way. So I had done a slower version of it, which is on the album as well, and that's the version they wanted to put out. And I was a little worried about that, because the first single had done so well, Tennessee, and I'm rhyming in this melodic way, and no one in hip hop was doing that. So I knew that I was capturing a new energy at the time, and I was like, well, if People Every Day doesn't come out with that melodic style, I feel like we're missing out on a lane that we can sort of pave a way for in hip-hop. And so I did a remix to it, which is the version that ended up being huge, and I call it the Metamorphosis mix, because I re-recorded the vocals, did a whole new style of music to it, and then we put that one out, and it blew up. And I was so grateful, because that, to me, solidified our career. Because to have one hit is cool, but you could be a one-hit wonder.
Right.
But to have 2 hits was like, okay, now at least we'll never be a one-hit wonder at the very least.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was a good energy for us. Plus the song just really, captured people's imaginations, and also at the club it was a banger. So.
Well, you guys definitely continued it on, because after that you guys got the theme song for the Spike Lee movie Malcolm X, which was Revolution. And then the second album comes out, and the first single featured a remix from DJ Premier for Ease My Mind, which I played that a lot on the show back in the day. But you got the new album out now, Don't Fear Your Own Demons. I believe that's... Am I saying that right?
Don't fight your demons.
Don't fight your demons. Don't fight the demons. Okay, there you go. Yeah. I'll get it right one of these times. I will get it right. I will get it right. But the first single, Becoming, tell me what the story is behind that before we play it.
Yeah, so Becoming is basically it's sort of a 3-part story about a young kid who has been, struggling through domestic abuse in his household, and then he goes out in the streets. He's like doing all types of dirt in the streets, and then he's changing his life at the end, and it's this whole sort of metamorphosis of this young boy. And the truth is, I went into a prison and did music with inmates. And one of the inmates, his name is Anthony Johnston. I filmed my entire experience when I was in there, and I did a film called 16 Bars. It's available on all of the various streaming services right now. It's an incredible film. I'm very proud of it. And one of the guys that I documented is Anthony Johnston, and his life was the life that I'm rhyming about in this song, Becoming. And so he inspired me so much, and so I wanted to sort of pay tribute to what his life was about on this record.
Are you still in touch with him?
Oh, definitely, yeah. We finished, we wrapped that up. We put it out in 2018. I've been in touch with him even as lately as 19, or maybe even 20, top of 20,
And he's still incarcerated?
He's back incarcerated. He was out for, during this documentation, actually. He got released during the documentary we were doing. And now he's back in for other reasons. But, yeah.
Oh, man, that's tough, man. That's tough. Well, you know what? Let's let me run it real quick. This is Becoming, the latest from Arrested Development, from the album Don't Fight Your Demons.
Come on.
See, I got it. Don't Fight Your Demons.
I've added it to my streaming because I'm going to be checking this
Available now on all streaming. Speech, please hold on the line, and we'll come back in just a second to talk a little bit more, all right? Telling you, man. I'm telling you, Speech and Arrested Development are definitely doing their thing. Man, congratulations on that song, man. That's a very solid record right there, man. So are you handling all the production?
No, Configure did production on that. The whole album is beast. It's really a beast record. It's really, really strong. And me, Configure, and a brother named Chris Acosta and Mark X did production on this record. So, yeah, between the four of us.
Nice, man. Definitely good stuff right there. So, just going back real quick, touching on a few things before we let you get out of here and get away from us, the guy who can't get the title of the album right.
Don't fight your demons, man.
Don't Fight Your Demons, available now on all streaming services. I remember actually when the second album came out, you guys had a big record release party up in San Francisco. I remember going to that. Didn't get a chance to link up with you, but it was a good event. And radio kind of slept on the second album, but I thought there was some good stuff on it. Just a very weird time that it kind of you always hear the stigma of like, oh, if you win Best New Artist at the Grammy Awards, then you're not going to be around long, or people aren't going to pay attention to you. But the way radio kind of slept on that album kind of leads, kind of says, see, it is true. But 20 years later, you guys are still, making music and doing your thing. So you're kind of dispelling the myth, so to speak.
Right. I mean, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the myth has to be that way, but I do think in our case, we sort of lived that stereotype, because although we have continued to do music, it hasn't been promoted on that same level. So I think that one could argue that, but I think, for me, it was the music industry or the sound of hip hop had changed drastically by the time we dropped that second album. And first of all, second of all, I think a lot of fans love that record, and so it's helped me to appreciate the record even more than I already did. And then third of all, if I had a chance to do it over, though, I would have just sat on releasing and not tried to release so soon, because we had such a big success on that first record. If I had the chance to do it over again, I would have waited for at least, a year and a half, 2 years, and just worked on music until I thought it was perfect, and then went ahead and dropped it again. But instead, I followed the label's advice, because they were trying to meet quarterly quotas and try to sell this many records in this quota and make this much money in that quota. In that quarter. And so to be honest, it was just a rookie mistake because I didn't know how to tell them no yet. Like I wasn't confident enough. We only had one record with them, and I'm from Milwaukee originally. I'm born and raised there, so I didn't have that sort of label experience. So being on a big label was already, sort of intimidating for me. And I was just trying to, well, okay, y'all say we should drop something by this time. Okay, well, I'll work on music with the group and we'll drop it. And instead of me saying, nah, we're gonna make sure that we get another, record that really meets the times exactly where it needs to be and all of that stuff. So
definitely, man, definitely. Also too, this was another thing, another note that I dug up. I guess in 2003, you were in a legal situation with Fox Television over the title Arrested Development over their TV show. How did that turn out? What came of that?
We ended up settling out of court, and basically they knew they had to. I mean,
oh yeah,
it was a few things. One is we had already trademarked the name, so it was legally trademarked, and we had been paying the trademark fees, so it was up to date trademarked by us. That was back in '93, way before the TV show was even thought of. So
right.
That was one problem they had, and then they just ignored it. And as big corporations tend to do, they thought they could just take the name and just beat us in court because their money's longer than ours. It was with the Fox Corporation, so their money's quite long, and we're an independent group at this point, and they just thought that they could just beat us. So then we did a mock trial. And their lawyers saw how passionate I was on the stand about this name and about the group, and they felt like they were going to lose, so they decided to settle out of court. We settled for, a certain amount of money and just let them do the show, and then, which they already aired the show anyway. In fact, I found out about the show because it was airing on Super Bowl night back in whatever year it came out. And the Super Bowl announcers were confused as well. They was like, yo, so Arrested Development, the group's coming out with a show. That's cool, And so everybody was confused about it.
Yeah.
So it totally landed in our court in the sense that they had no right to use the name. But anyway, we settled out of court. That's sort of just a chapter in our history.
Well, that's good to know, man. That's good to know. Hey, give out your social media contacts if people want to catch up with yourself and the group.
Definitely. ArrestedDevelopmentMusic.com is our website, and go to ArrestedDevelopmentMusic.com. The record's there. You can go to all of our social media from there, and so much more. We got 2 free albums that we've put out. Well, so it's like a lot of great stuff for fans out there, and we appreciate it.
No question. You can follow Arrested Development on Twitter at ADTheBand. You can check them out on Instagram, ArrestedDevelopment_, and on Facebook, Official Arrested Development. Man, it was great having you on the show this week. Thank you for taking the time to call in.
Thank y'all.
And, I definitely hope that, in the future, maybe we can set something else up and get you back on. Talk some more. So one of the before we let you go, we're going to jump into another song off the album. I think this is one of the strongest songs on the album, Young Americans. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, so Young Americans is a track about me meeting this woman who is from a poorer country, and she loves America. And she's like, yo, I wish I could be like y'all. Like, I wish I could be, she's black. And she was like, yo, I wish I could be like black Americans because y'all are rich. Y'all got it going on. I see all the music videos, and I'm talking to her about all of the issues that are happening with us here and how it's not what she thinks. So the record is really just talking about the 2 perspectives of this country, people that live here, American descendants of slaves who are born and raised here, and then people who are coming here and the opportunities that they see versus the opportunities that we hoped for as well but didn't receive. So it's an interesting track.
It's definitely a good track, man. So once again, man, I want to thank you, Speech, for taking the time tonight. I'm gonna contact you via social media to follow up because I want to ask you about a couple other things, that I can't get into on the air. So I'll reach out to you on there. But again, man, thank you so much for taking the time tonight to call in. All right.
No doubt. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.